The spirited monthly newspaper, The World's Advanced Thought, was a monthly periodical founded by Lucy A. Mallory in 1886. The paper's motto was "Love is the way, the truth, and the life." Mrs. Lucy Mallory contributed her own spiritual writings as well as the inspired contributions of others. She served as writer, editor, and publisher of the paper, which had an international readership that included renowned Russian author and vegetarian Leo Tolstoy. Through this uplifting publication, Lucy Mallory highlighted themes that emphasized the inner light of the human being. She also advocated vegetarianism for its loving kindness to other beings. Throughout her life, Lucy Mallory acted on her humanitarian beliefs. She used her own funds to open a school for children of color so that they could receive an education. As an animal rights activist and vegetarian herself, she hosted meetings of the local vegetarian society in her newspaper's office. She once said, "Vegetarianism is becoming worldwide. We are not speaking of forced vegetarianism. That doesn't count. We are speaking of vegetarians who have adopted the humane diet because of a sense of justice to animals." We now share with you selections from the periodical, The World's Advanced Thought. The Unclean Seance. Among the countless hosts of beings living in the world of the fourth dimension, interpenetrating our own, there are those greatly superior to mankind here on this plane of manifestation. They are higher than the highest we know, and wiser than any mortal. Then there are those no better than we are, and many who are lower and as brutal as the vilest savage. It is the latter class who mostly communicate in the mercenary seance. They are in close proximity to our planes of perception, for the race on Earth is encompassed by its own dissoluteness and decay, flowing off by particles to attract the bordering Hades. Motives of gain and the unwholesome craving after gross and sensuous phenomena bring the seeker into the lowest sides of contact with the invisible world. Thus one becomes the habitation of unclean spirits, who indulge themselves through the personality in the evils they pandered to when in the flesh. The instinct of the depraved recently deceased is to find for themselves human habitations for the gratification of their special vices. Thus do spirits prey upon those still living on this plane who do not live clean lives. It is very seldom that good, clean spirits manifest at the ordinary public seance, where money is the chief consideration. It is thus that the temple of the Holy Ghost is turned into a den of thieves. If one would have satisfactory converse with those in spirit life, one must be clean in spirit, mind, and body, and you must be in peaceful, loving condition. Then will one find the greatest joy in life, the certainty of being again united with the loved ones gone before. Every good on earth must have its foundation well built on earth. You, who expect a heaven by despising the earth, are like the seed hanging in the sunshine. It always remains a seed because it cannot grow where it is and produce a heavenly blossom. It must go down into the dirt and transform it and create its higher growth, heaven, out of it. Voice of Prophecy. We must be pure before we can enter in the light of lights, the innermost of peace. No scars can mar the exquisite outlines of jewels that adorn the crown of life, nor shadows dim their sun-lustrous splendor. Watch then, the slightest thoughtless act may spoil your gems that else had been perfect, and close to you the peerless gates of bliss that open to the touch of perfect love. The Lord will bless and prosper you. The bridge between the two worlds will soon be completed. The sole sun of divine light is going to burst upon a world of darkness. The love of humanity is dependent on self-improvement. When one does not love himself, makes no effort to bring uppermost the best within him, he is very likely to dislike everybody else. There is no devil that torments people. The ill will they themselves create in others by their inharmonious, dishonest, and unjust conduct is the tormentor that will inevitably, nemesis-like, dodge their footsteps until they transform it all into harmony. Jealousy is the upas, poisonous blossom of a tree whose root is bigotry and ignorance, and whose leaves and buds are conceit and vanity. All these narrow, soul-imprisoning traits will be found in the jealous person, and the name of the tree is selfishness and self-worship. Life is not the miserable, petty, diseased, and discordant thing the past and present generations of men have considered it to be. The majesty, grandeur, glory, and splendor of life is now to be revealed. Life is divine, full of endless happiness, peace, and prosperity. It is not right that we should be the playthings of that we have named fate, but we will continue to be its playthings until the mind and the will work in harmony. The divine, the newness in all its varying manifestations, comes in the spirit of immortal youth. It is the highest realization of a present that forever unfolds without end. It is constantly making all things more perfect. The newness is becoming epidemic. Harmony is the only thing that satisfies. Great joy is coming to thee, O spiritual enlighteners of the world. Everything in the universe is involved in the divine human, and these infinite riches that exist in its soul, invisible to mortal eyes, can be at any time made instantly visible if the divine human wills it to be so. To get the knowledge that gives lasting good, you must be still and listen to the inner voice that speaks in the silence. The inharmonious, the fault-finding, are now in great danger, according to the present understanding of danger, because the new dispensation of peace, justice, and love must now be inaugurated. It is destiny, and those who stand in the way will be cast aside. Darkness cannot withstand the moving sun. Get on board the ark of truth of the new spiritual dispensation. Wisdom and ignorance. There is neither a God that confers blessings, nor a devil that confers evil. There is wisdom and ignorance. When one becomes wise enough to live in harmony with everyone and everything, then there will be no evil, no devil. It is no wonder, when we consider all the suffering attendant upon a life on this planet, that the savage should believe there is an evil power in nature that is continually planning to do him harm. But to believe that there was an evil power ever watching to torment and destroy one, with nothing to turn to for help, was terrible. So a God that was good and could protect them from the evil power, if they would worship him and obey his mandates, was conceived, and mounted on a throne and worshipped. But still, the torment continued. In all ages, the religious teachers have told the people to bear their calamities with fortitude, for then they would go to heaven, and then the evil power could not reach them. But though the precepts have been taught for thousands of years, it is still as hard as ever to endure with perfect calmness the suffering, especially when one calamity follows another in rapid succession. Hamlet's uncle voiced the experience of most people in saying that when sorrows come, they come not in single spies, but in battalions. There was never yet a philosopher who could endure the toothache patiently, though he may have written in the style of the gods and made light of suffering. And we suspect that if we could get at the inmost thoughts of the modern sufferer, we would find that his view is not much higher than that of the savage, and that he thinks himself to be the innocent victim of inexorable fate. And this, though he may have read Epictetus and sat under the droppings of the sanctuary. No, the only remedy for suffering there is not to suffer, and this can only be brought about by living harmoniously. Suffering cannot enter where harmony reigns. As the mere closing of an eyelid makes one unconscious in sleep of all that was considered real, so the mere lifting of the spiritual eyelid makes one conscious of the actual reality of life, the spiritual reality. Thoughtful viewers, thank you for your company on today's Words of Wisdom.